Welcome to this short video on designing and developing engaging outreach events. The challenge that we face is that many people are unaware of the range of different job roles and careers available within the NHS. We have an opportunity through well-designed workshops to spark interest and bring career pathways to people. The idea is to combine a structured design with active learning to be able to help you to deliver these events and in doing this to help you feel confident in creating engaging hands-on sessions. So this video really is about exploring how you can design these events and workshops for young people and adults using two powerful instructional design frameworks, and we'll go through both of these throughout the video. The two models give us structure, clarity, and are proven methods for creating positive learning experiences that genuinely help people to understand about the topic being discussed. So by the end of the session, I'm hoping you'll feel confident applying both frameworks to your own workshop. The overall goals are to help you to build confidence in your design and delivery, and also to think about how we engage different audiences effectively. So at the beginning of any workshop or any presentation, it's best to introduce yourself and to find out a little bit about the audience. So welcome, my name is Sarah Smith and I'm one of the employability team. When you're doing a workshop, it's good to have a bit of an icebreaker to help people to feel a little bit more comfortable and to get them to know who else is in the room and to help you to know who's in the room. So it could be anything from just asking people to introduce themselves or asking them a specific question, such as why have they come to the workshop? What are they hoping to achieve? Or just a simple thing like what's made you smile today? So an icebreaker is always a good start to any session. Before we begin, I want you to reflect on what makes a workshop good. We've all been to lots of different types of workshop, so we've all got an idea ourselves, and it's always a good starting point. So thinking about something you've been to, what made it good? Why did you enjoy it? Why did you feel it was a positive experience? And more importantly, probably, what made them not so good? So I think if we were to all write those down, we'd come up with very similar things. So certain things would be, well, it was really relevant to me. So as an individual, so I was interested in it. It was an interesting workshop. It was engaging. So the person that was presenting it didn't just talk at me, they got me involved, or I was able to do some hands-on things. So I got a chance to try things out, have a go, and I think that's quite important for young people. So it's about thinking about who the audience are and what would engage them the most. And death by PowerPoints is always something you don't want. So why is good design and delivery important? Well, young people especially and other adults often have only a surface level understanding of NHS careers. So they may know job titles, but not the work that you actually do or what it really looks like. And our workshops are a great chance to change that and to spark interest, to build confidence for people to think about applying, to open up the range of pathways into NHS roles. But to do that well, we need workshops that are structured, engaging, and grounded in real practice. And that's where these two frameworks that we're going to look at today come in. So the two frameworks are ADDIE or ADDIE and Merrill's First Principles. ADDIE gives us a clear step-by-step process for designing any learning experience. It ensures that we're intentional and we're consistent. Merrill's First Principles focus on how people learn. And people learn through real problems, through active participation and meaningful practice. When we combine these two, we get workshops that are both designed well and are also highly engaging. Let's walk through the ADDIE model first. So the first stage is analysis. Here we start by understanding our learners. So think about who are you delivering the workshop to? Think about what they already know, what they need to know, and what you want them to walk away with. Second step is design. This is where we plan the workshop structure, think about what the learning outcomes are, and what activities we're going to put inside the workshop. Next is development, and this is where we create materials, so slides, handouts, props, scenarios. Moving on to implementation, and this is the delivery of the workshop. And finally, evaluation, where we assess what's worked well and what we could improve. So ADDIE keeps us organised and it helps ensure quality. As you can see, we've got formative evaluation, and this relates to continuous checking as you work your way through. Does it flow? Is it at the right level for the audience? So you need to keep evaluating each stage. Don't wait until the end. Looking at Merrill's principles, this helps us design learning that sticks. So the first thing, the number one, is it's task-centered or problem-centered. So we need to start with a real NHS scenario, something that is authentic. We next move on to activation. So this is when we connect new learning to what the audience already know. So you need to connect it to their prior experiences. We only learn best, or we learn best, or only learn when it's something that we can build upon. So if we've all already got a little bit of grounding, then we can build upon it. We can't go straight in with complex um, problems if we don't know the basics. Then we move on to number three, which is demonstration. This is where you show them how the task is done or how to solve the problem. And we do this through examples, through videos or demonstrations. The next stage is application. So this is letting the learners try the tasks themselves, letting them have a go. An important stage is the next one, which is integration. So this is where we encourage reflection and help them to connect the experience to future experiences. So it's about encouraging them to integrate what they've done into something else. So being able to apply that practice. So these principles make workshops active, memorable, and meaningful. How do Merrill and ADDIE work together? Well, the two frameworks complement each other beautifully. ADDIE gives us the structure, what to do and when. And as I said, Merrill gives us the learning principles, how to make each stage effective. So if we're looking at analysis, first we identify a real NHS problem to use in our workshop. At the design stage, we use Merrill's principles to look at each activity. So we think about embedding those into each activity. And then during the development stage, we create hands-on tasks that are aligned or mirror NHS work. So it doesn't have to actually be the technique or the work that you do, but can be something that is very similar or reflects that work. And so they can really have a go at seeing how their skills are the same as the skills that you would use. So together, they then create workshops that are organised and engaging. I want to look at ADDIE now in a little bit more details to help you understand how you can apply it. So as we said, we start with the understanding of the needs of the audience. So ask yourself some guiding questions. What problem am I trying to solve, or what am I trying to do with this workshop? Am I trying to help people understand about career pathways? Am I trying to understand about the role that I do? What topic am I addressing? And then think about who the audience is. As we said, what prior knowledge and skills do they have? It's no good trying to use all the terminology that you would normally use in your day to day work because young people won't know that. And so they've got nothing to link it to. Think about the potential gaps in their knowledge. If you want them to learn how to take blood pressure, you need to check first that they understand what blood pressure is. Why do we do it? How does it help? And you build upon that so when they do the activity, they understand the results that they're getting. Think about what our expectations are. What do we want them to walk away with? What learning do we want? And then what are our delivery options? This will depend upon the types of engagement or outreach activity that you're doing. So it's best to think about what barriers or constraints you might have and how you can overcome these. And some types of things are better hands-on. Some can be learnt through watching a video. So if you think of something like hand washing, the best way to learn whether you wash your hands properly is to actually do it and put your hands into that UV and see where you've left the bits, and you can see the bits that you've missed when you've been watching it. You can learn by watching somebody or being instructed, but hands-on is best. Learning objectives are measurable statements to help evaluate participants' knowledge and skills. Once you've identified who your audience is, the next step is to define the clear outcomes. What do you want from the workshop that you're delivering? What do you want people to learn, and what do you want them to walk away with? You need to know this because that helps you decide what you're going to do. So what do you want participants to know or be able to do after completing your workshop? It's essential to identify your learning objectives when thinking about your session. They matter for our outreach activities because they give us clarity, focus, and enable us to evaluate what we're doing. How will you know if you have achieved your aim if you're unsure about what it is in the first place? Knowing what you want the learning objectives to be provides a strong scaffold for you to build your session upon. It informs what activities you will do to support the learning. If you think about what makes a strong learning outcome, it's one that must relate to the audience. Who are you delivering to? What is the age of the audience? What do you want them to be able to do when they leave your session? What is the main takeaway you want for them? Don't be vague. So a good learning outcome may be by the end of the session, pupils will be able to name 3 different routes into a career in nursing. It's nice and clear, you can evaluate it, and they know that that's what they're supposed to have learnt in that session. Pupils can demonstrate a skill that is required for working in a healthcare setting. Gain a nice, clear learning objective or learning outcome that you can evaluate, and also that the people attending the session understand. Just going to run through a few more examples just to give you an idea of how to write these learning outcomes. So avoid things like pupils will understand NHS jobs. Move to more towards by the end of the session, pupils will be able to name at least 3 different career pathways within the NHS. Pupils will be able to describe one role in NHS Highland and explain one way it contributes to patient care. Clear guidance on what is expected from your event. If you're looking at professional storytelling, pupils will know about my job is very vague. Participants will be able to summarize my role in one sentence using their own words. If they can do that, then you know that they've engaged and they've understood and listened to what you're talking about. Participants will be able to identify 2 skills needed in my job after hearing my career story. Again, a nice clear objective that you want to aim for. If you're talking about skills and pathways, participants will learn about routes into the NHS. Again, very vague. Participants will be able to identify one entry route, e.g. direct, apprenticeship, university, college, into a chosen NHS Highland career. Participants will be able to match 3 NHS roles to their typical training or qualification pathway. So again, clear, and both you and people attending the session understand what they're aiming to get from attending that session. And then finally, participants will think about their future. Very vague. I think most of us would be challenged with that. Participants will be able to write down one NHS role they might want to explore further and explain why. And that would be a great outcome for an engagement session. Participants will be able to share one thing they learned about NHS careers during the session. And it's quite good when you start your session to maybe pose 3 questions to the audience. Say that you're going to ask them to think about these 3 questions, things that you will be able to answer throughout your session, and then you're going to come back to it at the end of the session. Especially with young people, that helps them to focus. If they know There's three things they need to be able to answer. They'll listen for the answers to that, they'll engage in the session, and then at the end, you can check back and ask them those questions. So looking at this session, the learning objectives are you as participants should be able to apply the ADDIE and Merrill approach to the design and development of your workshops to support the development of engaging outreach sessions, and also to identify a strategy that you can use to feel more confident when delivering interactive workshops, and explain how you will use this in your next outreach session. Moving back through the ADDIE model, moving into design and development. So real world associations are needed for a learner to find meaning in what they're actually doing. So if you use real world example that they can link to, or from something their peers have done, or from their wider community, then this makes the subject more relevant to them as a learner. So when they're engaged in relevant working problem solving, then the information becomes more important to them. The learning is interesting when it's relevant. So when you're creating a structured plan for the workshop, think, when do we learn best? When it builds on things we already know about, and when it relates to real world stuff. So what they're learning about in class, maybe something that's going on in the community, give it a sort of a link that you can talk about. As mentioned, this is where Merrill comes in. So the principle one is task centered. So can you provide an example for your own outreach from your own work? So supporting the independence of a patient, prioritizing tasks, organizing a meeting, something that you do that you can link it to and talk about something that they can understand. Next stage is activation. In other words, build on their current knowledge base. So you've identified something that you can link to, but you need to build on it. And this is known as scaffolding. And you must include something that they can relate the subject matter to help them to explore what they're learning about. Everything they've learned enhances the meaning and relevancy of new ideas or concepts. Use questioning to see what they know, and then how you can build up this knowledge. Keep activities challenging, but don't overwhelm them with the activities. So think about, what do pupils already know about nursing roles? Find that out and then build upon that. Demonstration. This is the show me phase. So learning must include demonstrations of new concepts as well as instructions about them. So you need to give them the information and you need to show the information to them, or show them how to do it. It's important to ensure that there's plenty of these types of demonstrations during a session to help learners to use the new information that you're giving them. So use multiple examples, and that will help them to transfer their new learning into different situations. So if you were thinking about communication being an important skill for a healthcare support worker, you may demonstrate it through helping someone to put on a cardigan as a resident in a care home, or supporting someone at meal times to ensure that they're able to eat their meal, supporting people with things like shaving or brushing their hair. Through all of these, communication is important. So you're all offering multiple perspectives of a skill that helps with that and helps their understanding and their ability to apply. So here on the slide, we've got showing them a short video of supporting a patient to get comfy in their bed, and then actually demonstrating it so they can see, and you can sort of plump up a pillow and they can actually visualize it. To explain this concept a little more, I want you to think about if you were to give an activity. So if I were to say to you, make a paper aeroplane, but not give you any instructions, not demonstrate to you how to do it, not tell you what I wanted that aeroplane to look like or what I wanted it to be able to do, you'd feel quite confused and you would be unsure as to what you should do next, and also maybe feel a little bit like not joining in, make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. So Most people, if they're unsure, won't take part, and so they don't get the learning that you're trying to support them with. I need to check first. Has anybody ever made a paper aeroplane? What's the use of asking you to do something if you haven't got that underpinning knowledge? So remember that scaffolding. So if I were to repeat the activity, this time I would give you clear instructions on what it should look like, how to do it, and also what I want it to be able to do, i.e., fly as far as possible. It needs to be sleek, it needs to be streamlined. I might even give you a demonstration of how to do it and complete it and then throw it. So, scaffolding the activity and providing guidance and support ensures that individuals are able to take part and are able to learn. Walking around the class and helping people as they're doing it helps them and supports them. It doesn't matter if people make mistakes. Mistakes are great learning and it should be embraced as part of the activity. So if you think about it, going back to that paper aeroplane, having seen one being made while somebody's talking through why they're doing each stage of it, you get the individuals to do it and you provide support, as I said, as required. So that scaffolding is there. Help the learners to apply their new knowledge and learn from any mistakes. Provide guidance at the start and then gradually reduce that support. Get them to recognize errors and see what they've achieved as well. Activities such as quizzes, role playing, reflection, and discussion provide opportunities for the learners to retrieve and apply the knowledge that they're learning. The integration, the final stage, is having a go at something themselves and using that new skill in a different way. So they may have had a go at taking blood pressure or changing a cardigan on a patient, helping them to dress, or counting out tablets. And then you get them to solve a problem. You give them an activity where they have to apply several of these new skills, and it helps them to learn and to see that they can do it. And integration is where theory becomes a permanent habit. So, learning is facilitated when learners are able to actively interact with what they've learned through discussion, through debate, through activities, and or even presentations. You could get them to teach each other or to talk about what they've learned. When they collaborate with peers on a task or solve a problem together, they're using what they've learned. So set a scenario where they have to apply their skills and watch them be able to put it into practice. Hands-on activities, we can use real tools, we can use props, or we can use simulations where possible. They're really important and they help with engagement. We can create mini tasks that mirror NHS work. We can use role play or case studies and problem solving. It's best to keep the activities varied and short and very interactive. The one thing to mention is to ensure that accessibility and inclusivity have been considered. So, if you've got people with mobility issues that are attending or additional needs, then make sure that the activities have different types of things they can do so that they're not excluded from them. There's alternatives that they can take part in. So just giving an example, so if we were designing a workshop for radiographer to talk about what they do, we start with a problem-centered scenario. How do radiographers help diagnose injuries? So we activate prior knowledge by asking what learners already know about X-rays, finding out their understanding. Then we can demonstrate by showing anonymized case images and talking through what you can see. Then we get them to apply that learning by having them match images to possible injuries. And then we can integrate by discussing career pathways and next steps, or even doing a case study or a scenario that helps them to apply the knowledge that they've learned. This makes the workshop hands on, realistic, and memorable. D for develop in our ADDIE is the simple steps that build upon each other. So, having identified your design, the type of activities you will use, and how each addresses the learning objectives, you need to develop the workshop into a clear and coherent presentation that flows nicely. Think about the time that you will spend on each activity. Think about the timing. Less is more. Don't rush through and try to cover so much that the audience has no time to reflect and that they can't apply the knowledge that they're learning. As you develop the workshop, think about how you will implement it. Give yourself time. Think about each stage. So instead of one long delivery, use repeatable chunks. So we've got input, then activity, then discussion. So the input, remember to use Merrill. Um, Possible components such as key concepts, frameworks, or information. Keep it short and digestible. Then interactive activities, so it could be group work, case studies, role play, problem solving. Facilitated discussions, so encourage sharing perspectives, ask some open ended questions, and then give them some insight so they can let participants apply the ideas to real life scenarios. One tip is to aim for engagement every 10 to 15 minutes to maintain attention and keep in mind using those varied formats, so visual, verbal, experimental. Keep checking understanding regularly. There's nothing wrong with stopping and going back to the beginning if you feel that they're just not getting the concept. Best to stop, reintroduce things, make sure that your scaffolding's right, and start again. And you can check understanding by using questioning, polls, or summaries. So be flexible. Look at the energy of the group, look at how they're engaging, and change and adapt to make sure that you can bring everybody back in. Keep linking back to your objectives, keep showing them what they've achieved, um, and then make sure that they know what they're going to do next and encourage specific practical steps. At the end, have a reflective session, consolidate and close. This can be as a group or even individually. You could do it through asking questions. What stood out for you? What will you use? What is your main takeaway? Feedback is important. You can do quick evaluations, sticky notes, verbal, or you can do a full evaluation. But in your closing message, reinforce the key themes. Come back to the learning objectives that you started. Maybe ask those 3 questions again that you put at the beginning. Check that they have been able to pick up the information that you wanted. Thank the participants and then signpost them to the next step or sets of resources. Don't rush this section. Reflection is where the learning really sticks. So the final stage is the implementation and evaluation. And you may not get it right the first time. There's always room for improvement, however many engagement or workshop sessions you've done. And this is where evaluation is really important, both your own evaluation and that of the participants. If we're looking at implementation, don't just provide a set of introduction materials. It's about managing your time, adapting to the learners, delivering activities, and creating a safe learning environment. And we do that through clear instructions, through engaging activities or discussions, through good pacing, and also through inclusive facilitation techniques. So you've got to make sure that, as I say, don't just give a set of instructions. Maybe use pictures, maybe use a video, use demonstration, especially with younger people. There's lots of different ways that people engage with learning, so make sure that you can support all of those. And finally, evaluation. We've got formative evaluation, which you're doing yourself throughout all of the development of your workshop. And then there's the evaluation at the end. A simple approach is just answering 3 questions, and you can answer it and you can get your participants to answer it. Did they like it? Did they learn something? And will they do anything differently as a result? And that's all really you want to know. Have you engaged them and they've enjoyed it? Have they learned and achieved those learning objectives? And as a result of that, are they going to consider a career in the NHS or what subjects to take, or just to look at further information and when moving forwards? range of different tools that you can use for evaluation. So you can use post-it notes, you can use quick feedback forms, you can ask a reflective question. Observation checklists are quite good. So as you're going through, keep thinking about, what are people doing? Are all of them engaging in the activities? Are some just sitting back? And that helps you next time to think about how you're delivering it. You can also do follow-up questions after the session. So if you're engaged with the teachers, or you go back to the same school or something, checking what impact it had made. So it's really think about, what is one thing I will start doing to evaluate the impact of the sessions that I do. To summarize, Addy gives us structure and consistency, and Merrill gives us engagement and authenticity. Using these two together helps us to design workshops that truly showcase the different roles and careers, and to inspire people into considering them. It supports you as practitioners and strengthens the types of engagement that you do together. So, thank you for listening. If you want any more support, or if there are any questions, get in touch with us. So the employability team, our email address is nhsh.employability@nhs.scot. Thank you.